Okay, let's unpack this. If you've been listening to us, you know we're all about getting you well-informed fast.
Hmm.
And when you, our listener, brought us Sabri Subi's Sell Like Crazy,
Ah.
we knew we had to dive deep.
Yeah, it's been mentioned quite a bit.
Because let's face it, if you're a business owner, you've probably asked yourself, where's the next client coming from?
Oh, absolutely. Or you're just constantly putting out fires instead of, actually growing the thing.
Exactly. So what if there was a systematic way to solve that? A method promising, well, as many clients, customers, and sales as you can possibly handle.
It's certainly a bold promise, and the book backs it with some pretty significant claims. Our deep dive today is into Subi's highly impactful sales and marketing strategies, all detailed in Sell Like Crazy.
And this isn't just quick tips, is it?
No, no. It's not a collection of quick hacks or, fleeting trends. It's presented as a comprehensive step-by-step approach.
An actual system.
A system, yeah. And it claims to have generated hundreds of millions in revenue across, I think it was 167 different industries. Wow. Okay.
So our mission today is to extract the core insights, the real aha moments, and show you how you might apply them directly to your business.
But there's a catch, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Be warned, though, right from the start, the book is very clear. This path isn't easy. It demands hard work and, importantly, a measurable financial investment.
Right. Not a magic wand.
Definitely not.
Mm-hmm.
But as the author puts it, acquiring this knowledge might just be the smartest decision you've ever made.
Okay, let's get into it. The book opens with a concept that immediately grabs your attention. Think like a billionaire.
Mm-hmm.
What's the sort of counterintuitive piece of that? The bit that most business owners tend to miss, especially, when it comes to their time.
Yeah, it's interesting. What Subi means by think like a billionaire is really about consciously investing your most valuable, non-renewable asset, your time, only in activities that provide a positive, measurable return.
Billionaires aren't, generally speaking, bogged down in the day-to-day minutiae, like constantly checking emails or handling low-level tasks. They delegate or they outsource anything that doesn't directly contribute to significant growth.
But most business owners.
Most business owners, however, fall into that trap of letting the squeakiest wheel get the grease, right? Reacting to daily demands, getting trapped in trivial activities that yield minimum returns.
So being busy isn't being productive.
That's the core misconception. Being busy often means the opposite.
So if you're feeling that familiar overwhelm, maybe stuck in a feast or famine cycle, or even watching competitors with, let's be honest, seemingly inferior products pull ahead,
Yeah.
this mindset shift is ground zero.
Precisely. A truly wildly successful business, according to Subi, is one where customers are actively pursuing you.
Chasing you.
Chasing you, yeah. Where new leads are predictable and where you, as the founder, are focused only on highly leveraged activities, or HLAs, he calls them.
HLAs.
The core insight here is pretty profound. Being busy is just not the same as being productive. Your primary focus as a business founder must shift from doing the everyday operational work to, producing revenue and steering the ship. Strategic vision.
And what this implies then, no matter what industry you're in, baker, builder, dentist, doesn't matter.
Right.
You're fundamentally in the business of selling your product or service.
Exactly. The market rewards you for solving problems, not just for having the best thing.
Which leads to the next big idea, right?
Yeah.
The 80-20 rule, but taken further.
Yeah, this thought leads directly into an extension of Pareto's famous 80-20 rule. So while it's pretty common knowledge that maybe 20% of your customers bring in 80% of your revenue,
The classic rule.
Subi posits that if you apply the 80-20 rule again to that 20%, you discover something fascinating.
Which is?
That 4% of your activities create 64% of the revenue in your business.
4%. Wow. That's an astonishing concentration of effort.
It really is.
So for Subi, that 4% included things like writing sales copy, coming up with offers, funnels, videos, webinars, and steaming and plotting, as he puts it.
Yeah, the strategic thinking part.
But for the rest of us, how do you actually find your top 4%?
Mm-hmm.
And then the hard part, ruthlessly delegate the other 96%.
Yeah.
Sounds much easier said than done.
Oh, it definitely requires discipline. The book's advice is to use a really structured process. He mentions the King's audit worksheet, for example.
An audit, okay.
Yeah, to meticulously track where your time actually goes and what revenue each activity generates. The trick is to be frankly brutal in cutting out the 96% of low-revenue stuff.
Brutal.
Yeah. For many, this means overcoming that emotional attachment to tasks they've always done, or maybe the fear of letting go of control.
Right, the I have to do it myself track.
Exactly. It's about moving from tasks you can do to tasks only you as the founder should do because they directly impact revenue and the strategic direction of the business.
Which brings us neatly to what the author calls the single most important rule in business. Sales trumps all.
Absolutely. He argues pretty forcefully that as a business owner, selling isn't just a responsibility, it's your number one responsibility.
Not something to just hand off entirely.
No. It's not a side task you fully delegate. It's the engine of your business. Without a predictable sales and marketing machine, your business's destiny is, well, left entirely to chance, fate.
Makes sense. All the cool new marketing tactics don't matter if you can't actually close deals.
Exactly. All the latest hacks won't solve the fundamental problem of getting more customers and revenue if you haven't mastered the art of selling. Learning to sell isn't presented as a choice, it's an obligation for survival and, growth.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Sabri Suby talks about investing $500,000, his $500,000 learning curve, to get this knowledge.
Yeah, quite the tuition fee.
That's a costly lesson. What was the big shift that came from that massive investment, and what did he learn not to do?
Well, he claims a significant chunk of that $500,000 was basically wasted on useless, ineffective gimmicks.
Gimmick?
Yeah, from self-proclaimed gurus pushing, those false dreams of easy passive income. His pivot was pretty profound.
How so?
He shifted his obsession entirely to studying the true masters of advertising from the past 150 years. We're talking names like Robert Collier, Eugene Schwartz, David Ogilvy, Gary Halbert, Gary Bencivenga, the legends.
The old school guys who built empires with words.
Exactly. These are the hard-won secrets, he calls them, the enduring principles that turn tiny businesses into household names, not the flavor of the month tactics.
So timeless principles over fleeting trends.
That's the idea. He learned that timeless psychological principles of persuasion and human behavior are just far more reliable than chasing the latest digital algorithm change.
And it seems to have worked for him. I mean, his agency, King Kong, generating over $400 million in revenue, fastest growing companies in Australia. They call him the king of consulting.
Right, and he directly attributes the success to these long-term foundational strategies, not the latest, TikTok trick or whatever.
This leads into a really compelling part of the book, where he argues for advertising as the ultimate investment.
Yeah, this is where he really makes his case. Think about it. Billionaire investors like Carl Icahn or Warren Buffett, they're absolutely delighted with 20-30% annual returns on their capital.
That's fantastic, obviously.
Absolutely world-class investing.
So how do more common investments stack up?
Well, high-interest savings accounts. Maybe 2-3% annually if you're lucky.
Pretty meager.
Yeah. Australian shares, he notes, average 9.5% over 30 years. Real estate, 11.8% over 20 years. Now, these returns aren't bad.
No, most people would be happy with that.
Right. But he calls them woeful compared to the returns possible with well-executed paid advertising.
Okay, woeful is strong. But those ROI numbers you mentioned earlier, 305%, 1,356%, they sound almost too good to be true, especially for someone just starting out. What's the common mistake? Why don't more businesses see that kind of return, even if they read the book? Is there a significant risk here?
That's a really crucial question. The mistake often is treating advertising as an expense rather than an investment in a predictable system.
Expense versus investment. Key difference.
Huge difference. The book's examples are specific. One client spent just over $4,400 on Facebook ads, got back nearly $18,000 in 2 days. That's 305% ROI.
Incredible.
Another spent about $7,300 for a return of over $104,000. That's the astounding 1,356.96% ROI.
Wow.
Now, the risk is absolutely there if you do it badly or if you don't have the rest of the sales system dialed in first. You can't just throw money at ads and expect magic.
Right, it's part of a larger machine.
Exactly. But Suby argues that if you're putting $1 in and consistently getting, say, $3 back, you've essentially created a money printing machine.
And if you have that machine...
At that point, he says, you should invest as much as your cash flow allows. Even consider borrowing if needed because it's a predictable return. Relying only on free traffic or referrals leaves your business at the whim of whatever fate drops in your lap. That's inherently risky and unpredictable.
Okay, that makes sense. So let's dive into the system itself. The Sell Like Crazy system. It starts with phase 1, understand and identify your dream buyer.
Right. And Subi really challenges the common approach here, just wanting more traffic or targeting whoever's interested.
Which sounds logical, but he says it's wrong.
He calls most online marketing information dead wrong if it doesn't start with deeply understanding your ideal buyer. The competition online is just too fierce now for broad targeting to work effectively.
So why is this buyer understanding so absolutely critical? Who are we missing with a typical sell-first approach?
We're missing the vast majority. He states that only about 3% of your market is actively looking to buy right now.
Only 3%.
That's the tiny segment most businesses chase directly. But the other 97%, they aren't ready yet. They might be problem aware or solution aware or maybe completely unaware they even have a problem you can solve.
So the potential is mostly in that 97%.
Exactly. And the profound insight here is that the way to reach them is to educate them.
Educate, not just sell.
Right. If you provide valuable, insightful, education-based content, you completely shift the dynamic. Prospects start pursuing you because you've become a trusted resource and authority, not just another salesperson trying to push something.
It builds goodwill before you even ask for anything.
Precisely.
Okay, so how do we go beyond just basic demographics, age, gender, location, to really find these elusive dream buyers and build that critical trust?
He calls it the halo strategy. It means going way beyond the surface stuff. You have to really obsess over their passions, their dreams, their fears, their desires, getting to know them intimately, as he puts it.
Intimately? Like how?
This is where you find your Power 4% customers, remember, the ones generating 64% of your revenue. It's about deep detective work.
Yeah.
You need to identify their deepest pain points and their highest aspirations.
Okay, deep detective work. What does that actually look like in practice? Are there specific tools or methods he recommends?
Absolutely. He suggests a deep dive into online communities, searching Google, obviously, but also LinkedIn forums, YouTube comments sections, Amazon book reviews, Reddit threads, Quora answers, social media groups, anywhere they hang out online.
Looking for what specifically?
You're looking for the exact language people use, their specific concerns, the questions they ask repeatedly, their frustrations. He mentions a secret weapon. AnswerThePublic.com.
Answer the public.
Yeah, it visually maps out the precise questions people are asking Google around your keywords. So if you're a home builder, you might see questions like how to choose a home builder or will home builders negotiate on price? This directly tells you what's on their minds.
That's gold. So all this research feeds into creating what he calls a dream buyer avatar.
Mm-hmm.
What needs to be in that avatar for it to be truly effective, not just an exercise?
It involves outlining their hopes, dreams, desires, and crucially, their fears. He emphasizes fears because people are often more motivated by pain or the fear of loss than by the promise of pleasure.
Pain avoidance over pleasure seeking.
Often, yes. You also detail their preferred communication channels: email, text, physical mail, the exact phrases and vernacular they use. Remember Robert Collier's advice. Enter the conversation already taking place in the customer's mind.
Speak their language.
Exactly. Also, what's a typical day in their life like? What genuinely makes them happy? The ultimate goal is to build such a deep, empathic understanding that your marketing feels like you're talking directly and personally to them, solving their unique problems.
Okay, so once you have that deep understanding, phase 2 is about creating the bait. Right, the perfect bait.
Yes, the high-value content offer, or HVCO. So instead of that full frontal assault, just trying to sell immediately.
Which we know doesn't work well with cold traffic.
Right. You create this HVCO. It's free, genuinely valuable information, maybe a report, an ebook, a video series, a checklist, a cheat sheet, something tangible they want, given in exchange for their contact details.
So the goal isn't the immediate sale, it's a different kind of exchange. What's the psychology here? How does this shift the dynamic?
It's all about matching the temperature of your message to the temperature of your traffic. Fast selling just doesn't work with cold or even warm traffic most of the time.
Right.
The HVCO creates curiosity. It builds immediate goodwill. It makes prospects think, wow, if this is what they're giving away for free, imagine what their paid stuff must be like.
It positions you as generous, as an expert.
Exactly. He shares this fascinating forgotten case study of Louis Engel at Merrill Lynch back in 1948. Engel ran a 6,540-word newspaper ad, super long, offering free educational info about investing.
60,500 words.
You nod.
In an ad.
Yep. And it generated 3 million leads. This value-first approach, Subi argues, works even better today across all digital media because it cuts through the noise.
Speaking of long form, the book has that provocative line. Only marketing morons believe that no one reads long form copy.
He's pretty emphatic about that.
Why? Doesn't everyone have short attention spans now?
Well, Subi says his own $30 million in split testing proves long-form copy works. And this is the key, if it's entertaining and engaging.
So it has to be good.
It has to be compelling. But the insight is this. The people who do read long-form content aren't just casual browsers. They are the highly qualified, interested buyers. They're the ones actively looking for solutions.
They have that hair on fire problem.
Exactly. They read because they're invested in finding an answer. So the goal isn't mass consumption of the copy. It's qualified consumption by the right people.
Okay. So how dramatically can this HVCO bait really change results? And what makes one great?
He shows a scenario where using an HVCO could potentially triple the sales for the same traffic cost. Not by converting everyone, but by converting, say, 25% of visitors into qualified leads.
Leads you can nurture.
Right. Even if those leads close at a slightly lower rate initially, the sheer volume of genuinely interested prospects makes it immensely powerful in the long run.
So what are the secrets to a great HVCO?
He boils it down to 3 main rules. 1, create an attention-grabbing headline. This is absolutely critical.
The headline is everything.
It's the ad for the ad, basically. He suggests drawing inspiration from publications that master this, like AARP or even the National Enquirer. They know how to use emotional trigger words like exposed or secret.
Intrigue and emotion.
Yeah. He cites that classic example of a book whose sales just exploded to 2.3 million copies simply by changing the title to How to Satisfy a Woman Every Time and Have Her Beg for More.
Okay, that's memorable.
It's about identifying your dream buyer's hair-on-fire problem and offering the single most valuable and immediate solution. The headline needs specifics, use numbers, qualify or disqualify the reader, clearly show benefits, and build that intrigue. It has to speak directly to their deepest desires or fears.
Got it. Rule number 2.
Make sure every point touches a burning issue. The actual content inside the HVCO has to directly address their pain points, their fears, their aspirations. No fluff, just pure value related to their problem.
And the 3rd rule.
Keep it simple. Often, a concise 5-6-page PDF is enough. You can compile it from existing content or maybe by interviewing an expert. It doesn't need to be your life's work, just valuable and actionable.
Okay, so we've got the dream buyer, we've got the HVCO bait. Phase 3 is capture leads and get contact details.
Right, and this is where, according to Subi, most businesses really stumble. They attempt that full frontal assault for the sale too early.
Like asking a stranger to marry them on the first date, as he puts it.
Exactly that analogy.
So instead, we need an opt-in page. What's its single solitary purpose?
Its sole purpose is to get their contact details, usually name and bitmail, in exchange for that valuable HVCO you created. That's it.
And this is considered the very first transaction.
Yes. Even though no money changes hands, it's a micro-commitment. The perceived value of your HVCO must be so high that prospects think, wow, if they're giving this away for free, their paid stuff must be amazing. It builds that initial trust and gets them into your ecosystem.
Makes sense. So what are the key elements of a killer opt-in page? What makes it convert?
It needs that killer headline again, one that snaps your reader's eyeballs. Something like, finally, how to get desired result without thing they fear most in specific time frame guaranteed. Very specific, benefit-driven.
Right. What else?
A subheading that quickly restates the offer. Ultra-compelling fascination bullets that crank up curiosity, things like the dirty truth about X revealed or the one mistake even experts make.
Teasing the content inside.
Exactly. And a strong visual representation of the HVCO, like a polished mock-up of the ebook or checklist. Make it look professional and valuable. He provides a lot of visual examples in the book for different industries.
Okay, leads captured. Now phase 4, the Godfather strategy, crafting an irresistible offer.
Yeah, this is huge. This phase is about making an offer so compelling, so white hot, as he says, that it just melts objections and obliterates any friction to buy.
Melts objections. I like that. He says most business offers are impotent.
He does. Pretty strong language.
So what's the psychological leap most businesses fail to make here? How does the Godfather strategy force that leap? It sounds like it's much more than just offering a discount.
Oh, it absolutely goes way beyond price. The biggest mistake is creating an offer that's just good or reasonable instead of truly irresistible.
So how do you make it irresistible?
First, you have to know what your market is absolutely starving for. That comes back to the deep research, the Halo strategy. He even suggests something pretty radical.
What's that?
Write your sales message before you even create the final product or service. Promise the absolute dream come true experience.
Promise it first.
Yeah. And then develop the product or service specifically to deliver on that exact promise. It forces you to build exactly what the market desires most deeply.
That's kind of backwards, but I see the logic. Can you give us some concrete examples of these Godfather offers?
Certainly. He highlights Casper mattresses. They completely disrupted a $29 billion industry, right? Went from $0 to $600 million in 4 years.
Oh.
With an offer like, get America's best reviewed mattress delivered to your door for free for a 120-night trial. Free shipping, massive trial period, totally removed the risk.
Takes all the friction out. Another one.
And so Homes, they apparently went from $0 to $7 million in just 8 months by offering, we'll build your new home in just 30 weeks or give you $5,000 in cash.
Wow. Hitting a major pain point, construction delays.
Exactly. And his own agency's offer. Guaranteed Google rankings in 90 days or we work for free. Super bold guarantee that helped them dominate a really competitive industry.
Right, so the common thread seems to be transferring risk from the buyer to the seller, adding layers of value, making it feel almost foolish not to take the offer.
That's it exactly. A strong offer isn't just about the lowest price. It actually allows you to command higher fees because you've eliminated friction and built massive confidence.
So what are the key components then?
Key elements include a strong guarantee. This acts as a huge proof element by transferring risk. Specificity in what you promise. Strategic pricing, maybe a low entry point offer with higher tiers available. Relevant bonuses like LifeLock offering a free shredder, something useful related to the service. And urgency or scarcity ends soon. Only 10 spots left, etc.
The offer is the tip of the spear, he says.
And the heartbeat of your marketing. It's central.
And for service-based businesses, coaches, consultants, agencies, this Godfather offer often takes the form of
a free, high-value consultation. But present correctly, not just a free quote. It's positioned as 30, 45, or 60 minutes of genuine analysis or strategy development that's valuable in itself, even if they don't end up buying from you.
value first again.
Always value first. The call to action is clear. Book this valuable session, not buy my stuff.
Okay, system building blocks are in place. Buyer, bait, opt-in, offer. Now finally, phase 5, traffic.
Right. Once those first 4 phases are meticulously dialed in, then you're ready for traffic, but not before. And it's essential here to understand your unit economics.
Unit economic.
Your cost per lead, CPL, how much you spend on ads just to get someone interested enough to give you their contact info, and your cost per acquisition, CPA, the total cost to actually turn that lead into a paying customer. You need to know these numbers cold.
This is critical because so many businesses focus on traffic first,
Yes.
right? Without fixing what happens after the click. Why do people get this backwards so often?
It's a really common mistake because, well, getting traffic feels like progress. You see the website visits go up.
Vanity metrics sometimes.
Exactly. But Subi stresses again and again, most businesses don't actually have a traffic problem. They have a conversion problem.
Say that again.
They don't have a traffic problem. They have a conversion problem. Traffic is basically a commodity. Google handles 3.5 billion searches a day. Facebook has billions of active users. Traffic is abundant.
So the real bottleneck is turning that traffic into sales.
That's the real issue. He uses that dating analogy. Again, don't ask to marry on the first date.
Right, the Tinder traffic to Netflix and chill journey.
Precisely. You need that strong conversion system.
Yeah.
The HVCO, the opt-in, the follow-up, the offer, all working before you start pouring significant money into traffic. Otherwise, you're just pouring water into a leaky bucket.
Okay, so assuming the conversion system is solid, how do we tailor the ads for the different temperatures of prospects? Cold, warm, hot.
For hot prospects, the 3% who are actively in buy mode, searching for things like Financial Planner Sydney platforms like Google Ads, Search, or SEO, are ideal. You target those high purchase intent keywords directly.
Makes sense. What about the other 97%, the warm and cold?
For warm prospects, aware of the problem but maybe not actively searching for your solution yet, and especially cold prospects, unaware, the largest group, platforms like the Google Display Network and Facebook ads are usually best.
Why those?
Because of their incredibly granular targeting data, you can reach people based on demographics, interests, behaviors, look-alike audiences, even if they aren't searching for you right now.
Got it. Now, writing the actual ads, for Google Ads, the book says, grab your prospects by the throat and drag them to your website. That sounds intense.
It's deliberately provocative language.
What's the psychology? How do you achieve that without just being obnoxious?
The key is remembering the ad's job is not to sell the product, it's to sell the click.
Sell the click. Okay.
It has to immediately address their problem and offer a compelling reason to click, which is usually your HVCO. He shows an example for divorce lawyers using intrigue. A top divorce lawyer's secret checklist finally revealed, offering the free report.
So it's curiosity and value again.
Exactly. You use compelling ad formats or angles. If they can, you can too. Social proof. Irresistible intrigue. Prediction-based headlines. Fear-based, carefully. Breaking news style. Myth-busting. Freebie discount focus. Or testimonials. The point is, average, boring copy just wastes money. You need to be provocative enough to cut through the noise and earn that click.
And what about Facebook ads? The audience there is generally colder, right? Less intent-driven, more interruption-based.
Right. Facebook is what he calls a native advertising platform. This means your ads should ideally blend in and look like normal content users would see in their feed.
Not look like obvious ads.
Preferably not. Images without tons of text often perform better. He points out that data shows things like breaking news articles and exclusives get shared a lot on Facebook. So your ads should try to mimic that news angle or discovery feel.
Interesting. So you're not trying to create desire out of thin air.
No. The goal is to channel and direct their existing desire for interesting news, intriguing content, or solutions to problems they might not even be actively thinking about right then. You interrupt their scroll with something that looks like genuine, valuable content, aiming simply to get the click-through to your HVCO landing page. He even shows his own ad that made millions, designed to look like a Forbes article preview.
Clever. Okay, so traffic is flowing to the opt-in page. People are downloading the HVCO.
Right.
But most won't buy immediately. That brings us to phase 6, the magic lantern technique.
Yes, this is crucial. This technique specifically addresses that huge 97% of prospects who download your HVCO but don't convert right away.
The nurturing phase.
Exactly. It's about methodically, strategically guiding them down a path towards their desired outcome, while simultaneously lowering their skepticism about you and building massive trust and desire for your solution.
Can you walk us through a practical example? How does this magic lantern actually work, step by step? Let's use that PR consultant example again.
Okay, perfect. So imagine a PR consultant whose dream buyer desperately wants press coverage, right? They download the HVCO. Maybe it's called How to Get Featured in Forbes.
Got it. They opted in. Now what? No sales pitch.
No immediate hard sell. Instead, they enter an automated email sequence, the magic lantern sequence. Step 1. Maybe a day later, they get an email offering a free 12-step social media audit checklist or a short video guide. This provides more immediate value, it lowers their skepticism. Hey, this person actually knows stuff. And it positions the consultant as an authority.
Okay, it's still giving value.
Step 2. A few days later, maybe a video titled, The 11 Things Never to Say to a Social Influencer. This educates them on common pitfalls, deepens their understanding, and further proves the consultant's expertise.
Building more credibility.
Step 3, then maybe an email. Our 5-step system for getting featured on TechCrunch, Entrepreneur, and Forbes in 30 days or less, and perhaps it even includes a sample outreach template. This gives them a clear path forward using the consultant's methodology.
Wow, that's quite generous.
Step 4, maybe a ready-to-use press release template.
So at each step, you're not just offering random tips, you're giving genuinely useful, actionable content, proving your expertise by actually helping them before asking for the sale.
Precisely. Each piece of content moves them closer to their desired outcome, getting press coverage. It demonstrates your expertise tangibly, and it builds immense goodwill and trust. The formula he suggests is consistently 80% value, 20% pitch.
And the pitch comes when?
At the end of each piece of value-driven content, you make a soft offer, you ethically bribe them, as he puts it, with your Godfather offer. Usually that's suggesting they book the free, high-value consultation call.
So the call to action is always there, but it follows value.
Right. This automation lets prospects raise their hand and book a call when they're ready, willing, and able. They come into that sales call already warmed up, already trusting you. They transform themselves into piping hot leads because their skepticism is low and trust is high. It feels like a natural next step in a helpful relationship, not a cold pitch.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Which brings us to phase 7, sales conversion. The actual sales call for many businesses.
Right, especially for coaches, consultants, agencies, professional services. The call is often where the final conversion happens. And the book emphasizes something important before the call even starts.
Which is?
Pre-qualifying prospects. Using a short survey or application form before they can even book the call.
Why do that?
It immediately changes the psychology. They are now applying, or jumping through hoops, to speak with you. It signals they're serious, filters out tire kickers, and positions you as the prize, not the other way around.
So no more completely cold calls, no more just winging it on sales calls, hoping for the best.
Definitely not. This is about a highly structured, almost psychological approach to that conversion conversation.
What does that structure look like?
The conversion process he outlines isn't about listing your features and benefits. It's about diagnosing their problem and showing them you have the cure. It focuses on eliminating what they're currently doing that isn't working.
Okay, what are the key steps in the script he suggests?
It's designed to build massive relevance and trust, methodically eliminating resistance before you get to the price. 1. Find their why. Start with open-ended questions. What was your biggest motivation for scheduling this call today? And then dig deeper. And what would achieving that really do for you, for your business, for your life? Get to their core emotional driver, their deepest desire.
Understand the real goal behind the goal.
Exactly. 2. The admission. Gently guide them to admit that their current strategies aren't getting them there, that they need a proven system. Ask them how important solving this is, maybe on a 1-10 scale. If it's low, they aren't committed, and you politely end the call there, you're qualifying them just as much as they're qualifying you.
Saving everyone time if it's not a fit.
Right. 3. Deliver value. Live. This is powerful. You splinter off a tiny piece of your offering and give it to them right there on the call. If you're the PR consultant, maybe you quickly show them how to find journalist requests on HARO. If you're a digital marketer, maybe you pull up SEMrush and show them a competitor's traffic source they didn't know about.
Prove you can help by actually helping them right then and there.
It's incredibly effective for building instant credibility and trust. 4. Get the commitment. If they seem like a good fit and you've delivered value, ask simply, does that sound like the type of help you're looking for? Get a yes.
Lock in that agreement.
5. The prescription. Now, briefly, like 2 minutes max, tell them about your program or service, but crucially, tailor it specifically to the problems and desired outcomes they just told you about. Use their exact words back to them. So, our program is designed to give you that predictability you mentioned, free up more of your time like you wanted, and increase your revenue.
Making it about them, not just your features.
Always about them. 6. The close. Do a temperature check. Ask, do you have any questions about anything we've discussed? Or are there any concerns you have at this point? Address anything that comes up, especially money objections, always looping back to the value and their original why.
Handle objections proactively.
7. Offer and silence. This is the moment. State your price clearly. If you have a special offer for acting quickly, like a fast action discount, reveal it now. And then you say absolutely nothing. You don't say another word.
Silence. That sounds intense and maybe awkward.
You can feel that way. But the book states the person who speaks first loses.
What's the psychology behind that specific moment? Why the silence?
It's about creating a moment of internal decision, of commitment. By presenting the offer clearly and then falling silent, you transfer the natural conversational pressure from you to them. They have to process it. They have to respond.
They can't just wait for you to keep talking.
Exactly. It prevents you from nervously rambling, over-explaining, or talking yourself out of the sale. It forces them to engage with their own decision, articulate their final concerns, or accept the offer. It's surprisingly effective because it respects their decision-making process while holding the frame.
Okay, powerful stuff. Now the final phase, phase 8.
Yeah.
Automate and multiply, which focuses heavily on email marketing.
Yes. And Subi is incredibly passionate about email. He says if he had to choose just one marketing weapon, just one, he'd pick email every single time.
Really? Over social media, over paid ads?
He claims it outperforms every other channel, period.
Yeah.
He cites a McKinsey & Company study showing apparently a 40x ROI for every dollar spent on email marketing.
40 times ROI. That seems almost unbelievable. What makes email so uniquely powerful even today with overflowing inboxes?
And he also quotes the Direct Marketing Association reporting an average ROI of $44 for every $1 spent. The core reason he's so bullish on email is actually quite simple and logical. You own your email list.
Own it,
As opposed to your followers on Facebook or subscribers on YouTube. Those platforms can change their algorithms, change their policies, deplatform you, or penalize your reach overnight. You're building on rented land there.
But your email list is yours.
Your email list is your asset. You control the communication channel directly. He gives an example of one email he apparently wrote in just 30 minutes that generated $467,163 in sales. It's about cultivating that direct, owned relationship that no third-party platform can take away from you.
Okay, point taken. Email is the bedrock.
So if we want to win the battle for attention in the inbox, what are the 3 absolutely crucial things that matter most?
He boils it down to 3 non-negotiables. 1,
Yeah.
get it delivered.
Mhm.
This sounds basic, but it's about technical aspects people often ignore.
Like what?
Choosing the right email service provider, some have better deliverability reputations than others. He mentions ActiveCampaign often does well. Maintaining a high sender reputation, you can check this on sites like senderscore.org. Properly warming up new IP addresses if you're sending high volume. And crucially, email formatting. Formatting. You mean making it look pretty?
Actually, the opposite. He argues strongly against overly beautiful HTML emails loaded with heavy images and fancy logos in the header.
Why? Don't those look more professional?
Because they scream commercial intent to spam filters and email providers like Gmail or Outlook. They look like marketing emails, not personal ones. This hurts deliverability, landing you in the promotions tab or even spam. Plain text emails, or very simple HTML that mimics plain text, often perform better because they look more authentic and personal.
Interesting. Counterintuitive.
Uh,
Okay, so get it delivered. What's next?
2, get it opened. This is where you fight email blindness. Your emails need to be entertaining, exciting, engaging, something people actually look forward to seeing. He stresses, don't be boring.
Easier said than done. How?
Make readers feel a tiny little hit of dopamine when they see your name pop up. Subject lines are absolutely key here. They need to stand out.
What makes a good subject line?
He advises making them sound like a personal message from a friend, often lowercase, minimal punctuation, maybe 4 to 5 words long. Ask questions. Tease curiosity. He again suggests looking at native advertising headlines and gossip magazines, think National Enquirer or AARP, for inspiration on creating irresistible cliffhanger subject lines that tap into basic human curiosity.
Okay, so get it delivered, get it opened,
Yeah.
and the third.
3, get it clicked. Once they've opened it, the email's actual content, the design and tone, matters immensely. Again, he emphasizes that plain text emails consistently beat HTML-heavy emails in split tests because they feel more personal and direct.
Tone is important too.
Hugely. Your writing tone should be conversational, maybe even a little polarizing sometimes. Tell stories, share personal anecdotes, blemishes and all, he says, to build a friend-like bond with your readers. Don't be afraid to be yourself.
Be authentic.
Yeah. And when it comes to the call to action, the link you want them to click, don't just ask them politely to tell them. Use what he calls embedded commands.
Embedded commands, like what?
Phrases like, go ahead and check this out now, or claim your spot here. It's assertive, but still friendly, and it clearly directs them what to do next.
Right. Clear direction. Okay, that covers the main phases. Let's wrap things up.
Sounds good. The core message weaving through the entire Sell Like Crazy system is really a profound shift in identity for a business owner.
How so?
It's about transitioning from being a business owner who just practices their craft, the baker who bakes, the consultant who consults, to becoming a true business builder. And a business builder at heart is a marketer.
So marketing isn't just a department, it's the core function.
It has to be. It means fundamentally understanding that even the greatest product or service in the world is essentially useless unless its value can be effectively, reliably, and predictably communicated to the right market.
And the book seems to imply this journey isn't just about business tactics, is it? It sounds like it bleeds into personal development too.
Oh, absolutely. He talks about how mastering this stuff requires facing pressure, building focus, developing the stamina needed to achieve your biggest goals, not just in business, but in all areas of life. The disciplines are really intertwined.
Building a resilient business builds a resilient person, maybe.
That seems to be the undercurrent. By mastering this skill, turning advertising into predictable profit, you essentially ensure your business can remain sound and resilient, almost regardless of what the external market or economy is doing. These strategies, he argues, built on decades of trial and error and millions in testing, are designed to give you that kind of enduring power and control over your destiny.
And that brings us to the end of our deep dive into Sabri Subi's Sell Like Crazy. It's pretty clear that building that predictable, profitable sales machine is less about finding magic tricks.
Yeah, definitely no magic tricks.
And much more about disciplined strategy, really deep market understanding, and crucially, a willingness to invest time and money and iterate based on proven principles.
It really pushes you, the listener, to reconsider how you view your time, how you approach your marketing, maybe even your business's core identity. Is it just delivering the service, or is it finding people who need the service?
Right. The beauty, though, as you said, is it all seems to boil down to actionable steps. It's a system.
It is laid out as a system.
So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. After hearing all this, what's one highly leveraged activity, one of those top 4% tasks that you're going to commit to prioritizing in your business starting, say, tomorrow?
Or maybe, which of your current offers could you transform into something truly irresistible using that Godfather strategy thinking? What risk can you remove? What value can you add?
Good questions to ponder.
And interestingly, the author himself, Sebri Subi, actually invites readers and presumably listeners applying these ideas to share their breakthroughs and results directly with him. The email is hello@sellicrazy.co.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he promises a free gift or some kind of advanced training in return for sharing your insights.
It's a fascinating way to continue the value exchange, isn't it? It really is.
Yeah.
A call to action built right into the book's promotion. Very meta.
He practices what he preaches.